the video on making some herb bread, but in a slightly different way. So I've been faffing around with different types of bread and putting different ingredients in. So far we have done spinach, chickpeas, potatoes, butternut squash. Varying degrees of success. And it kind of put me on a little bit of a path of thinking about things in a kind of different kind of way. Obviously the ingredients that we added weren't part of the ingredient was actually water, so you can use that water in, say, the mashed potato as part of the water that you use to make the bread. So you kind of have to work out how much of the potato you're putting in is water, and then deduct that out of the amount of water that you add to the bread. So I was kind of thinking, let's do the same with herbs. So I'm going to do two. So I've got some flat leaf parsley and I've got some dried parsley. The dried parsley is in here, and I've pureed it up in the spice blender. The recipe is 300 grams of flour, 200 grams of Active Starter, that's half flour, half water, and then there is 4 grams, or is it 6 grams? No, it's 4 grams worth of, no, that's going to be wrong, isn't it? I think. Is that going to be wrong? I'll have to have a think about that. I might need to add some more. We've got some parsley now. I might need to add some more because I'm thinking about things in a different way. No, it should be okay. So there's 4 grams of dried parsley in there, which I've pureed up in the spice grinder, and then we've got 40 grams worth of and water, about 145 grams worth of water, a little bit of salt, and then in here we've got 300 grams worth of flour, a little bit of salt, Active Sourdough Starter, 200 grams, and then here we've got 40 grams worth of parsley, fresh parsley leaves, which I've pureed down with water to make it up to 150 grams worth of liquid. So there'll be about 10 grams, no, 15. No, that's wrong. So we could have put more parsley in there. I'll have to have a think about this. I've just got in from swimming. So I'll make sure that there is the right amount of parsley in that one that's going to go in this one. So there's 40 grams. No, it's 40 grams. No, it's 10%. That's yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. We'll see. We might add a little bit more parsley to that one anyway. So that's the fresh parsley with the water, which I've pureed down. And then let's just get those bits out of there. And then we're going to mix it all up. I don't want that fresh parsley. I don't want that. I've been mixing other bread, so my hands are a little bit covered in stuff. So with the sourdough, it's best to just mix it roughly before you start, and then that gives the water complete time to completely saturate the flour. And then when you're making sourdough, that means you can hydrate the dough a lot more, because you've given it that time just to completely saturate the flour. I think that one's going to be a lot greener to start off with, but we might change over time as we're kneading. So you just mix it roughly, then that gives the water time to completely saturate the flour and all the other dry ingredients that you've added, and then that enables you to add more liquid, because it takes time for the water to completely saturate and things. So if you mix everything together and then start kneading, you could have ended up putting more water in. And more water in, the hydration factor is one of the contributing factors to a sourdough and why they are all bubbly. It's very soft dough, very difficult to kind of use unless you're used to it. But everything takes time. So we'll mix that roughly, then we'll leave it for an hour, and then we knead it after the hour. So that already smells like dried parsley. So that looks about right, that should be okay. And then we'll see what this one, let's get all those bits off the fingers. There's going to be a little bit of cross-contamination when we're mixing these and we're kneading and things, but try and keep it down to a minimum. So those are those, and then we'll see what this one looks like. Now I have noticed that when I've added other things to the other breads, chickpea and the potato retarded the growth of the yeast in the sourdough starter. So it just didn't want to rise as much. It took a lot longer to rise, which is quite strange because, well, it looks, I mean, that's bright, vibrant green. That's a duller green, but that's because one's fresh and one's dried. So yeah, so there's something in the potato or the chickpea retarded the growth of the yeast in the bread, so it took a lot longer to rise. There wasn't that problem with the butternut, so I don't know what that's down to. However, when I was having a faff around with gluten-free bread, I wondered if we could use a sourdough starter in gluten-free flour, and it rose for a little bit, did the sourdough starter made with primarily with mostly gluten-free bread. It rose for a little while and then it died. So what I think that was that the yeast in the sourdough starter likes feeding on wheat flour and doesn't like any other type of flour. So that might be the reason why it failed. Well, it didn't fail, but it just wasn't as good with the chickpea. It just wasn't as good with the potato. So those are roughly mixed together. Give them an hour, and then we're back to knead, and then we're going to see how it turns out. But that looks about right, doesn't it? Well, that looks more like parsley. Surprise, surprise. Anyway, so give it an hour, and we're back. So I've had an hour, and I've also kneaded them. So that's a nice colour, isn't it? That's a nice colour. I think that's not a vibrant colour because it's dried out. So the parsley's still there, so I think the taste will be there. I just think that's a better colour because we obviously pureed the herbs into the liquid. So cover on, and we'll let that ferment overnight, so it'll double in size. Now my only concern is that we're using fresh herbs, so the sourdough might take upwards of 36 hours to ferment and rise and improve and all those good things. All those words are pretty much the same thing, which just goes to show how little I know what I'm actually saying most of the time. So my only concern is we're using fresh herb, so slightly concerned that in that time, although some of the time will be spent in the fridge, that herb might start to go off, which is my only concern. But we'll see what happens. If that happened, then you won't regret. Then you can't just use fresh herbs in this way in a sourdough. You'll have to end up using a fresh yeast. But I'll do the recipe for the sourdough and for fresh yeast. But it's pretty straightforward. All you really have to do is take the flour and the water from the sourdough starter, and just don't use sourdough starter and use fresh yeast as well. So add the water that you would have put into the starter into the bread, and the same with the flour. So all you really have to do is just add in like a 5 gram or 7 gram sachet of dried yeast. But anyway, so let this ferment. We'll see what happens. Right, let's have a look. That's okay. That's doubled in size, hasn't it? Right, so we'll get that in the fridge and we'll get it cooled down, and then we'll shape it, and then we'll see, same on that one, that's okay. So, and then we'll shape it, and then we'll have it fermenting in the fridge for, I don't know, 12, 14 hours, something like that. It looks like it's the parsley's not going to retard the growth of the starter. So it's chilled down in the fridge, risen a little bit, so maybe we could have formed the dough and then put it in the fridge. Maybe we'll do that next time I make some bread. We'll kind of see. So we need to form the bread so it's got some spring in it, so when we bake it and we slice it, it wants to spring into action. So we need to, done this so many times, we need to pull down the dough from the top and tuck it underneath the bottom. So you can do that by just squeezing at the bottom, and then it pushes everything into the bottom, and then pulls the top of the dough tight. Now it's not going to be smooth because it's got little flecks of herbs in it. So this is the one that was made with the fresh parsley. So it's never going to be smooth because the herbs are going to want to break the tension a little bit, but we can still create a lot of tension and get that nice split on the top. So it's just a simple case of squeezing at the bottom, and it tucks itself in and makes the top taut. And then I'm not going to bake these until tomorrow morning. So by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll probably get up about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So what's that, 14 hours, 15 hours, something like that. So that'll be enough. So then into the proving basket, and we'll see how it proves over the next 14 hours. So just a little bit, pull that together, and then it just seals it, and then bottom up at the top, a little bit of flour in case anything happens in the fridge that it wants to, say if the fridge breaks and it wants to explode into life because the fridge is a little bit warmer, that little bit of flour on the top is just going to stop it from sticking to the shower cap which we're using to cover it. They've risen pretty well, so let's see how they turn out. We will cook that one. Yes. So cast iron pot in the oven. It's been on for a good 45 minutes, so it's nice and hot. Full whack in the oven. Get the pan hot. In there, slice along the top like that. That's hopefully going to cause the dough to split open and get that nice split. Could do a new blade on that. And then lid at the ready. Spray at the one side with some water. Don't spray at the side that you cut the split on, otherwise the water will reseal the split. And then in the oven for 25 minutes, and it should be beautiful. So it smells like it's ready, although it's not just had its 25 minutes just yet. So let's just have a look, and if it's ready we can put the other one in at the same time. Oh, that's okay, that's risen. So like that. Next one straight in. Try not to burn my legs on the oven door. So slice that one open. Same again. Water on one side. It's starting to burn my hands. Ah! It's really burning my hands. Let's use another cloth. The idea about chefs having asbestos hands is a little bit of a fallacy. It's just knowing how to pick up things more than anything else, and getting used to a little bit of pain tolerance. It's not about having asbestos hands. So, not risen a huge amount. It feels a little bit heavy. It's a little bit heavy. So it might have been better with a little bit of water in it, but we've got the split-ish, so we'll have a look at that when it's cooled, and we'll have the other one. You don't need to see when the other one's ready, but it's going to take 25 minutes, and I need to going out for the morning, so I'll have a look at it when it comes. I'm just putting it there, so it's got a bit of air going around it. So we'll have a look at the other one. You won't see that coming out of the oven, but you'll just see them when we cut into them. Let's have a look at them. Feel alright. A little bit heavy. No, maybe not too bad. I did a white one as well. There's more flour in that one. That's not a success, is it? What's happened with that one? There goes to show. You don't get it right all the time. So, that's the dry one. That's the fresh parsley one. Parsley. So if it works with parsley, it's going to work with other fresh herbs as well, isn't it? But nothing too strong. So what would I recommend? Chives. Chives would be nice. But nothing too woody, like rosemary or anything like that. I suppose chervil. Maybe you could do mixed herbs. So like a mixture of, like, you wouldn't want anything like tarragon, too much tarragon, or maybe you wouldn't want too much chervil. Maybe basil might be nice, but the basil tends to go brown kind of quite quickly. So, but anyway, we're getting sidetracked. That's a nice, pretty green colour, isn't it? That's kind of quite uniform, considering that was the dried one. That's quite a uniform colour, but that's very vibrant. That one, isn't it? Look at that. What does it smell like? Smells like parsley. Not as, doesn't smell like as much like parsley, but it's got that stuffing kind of, like you have with your turkey, like a parsley stuffing kind of flavour to it, smell to it. Do I want those? Yeah, I want those bits. So let's cut off there to have a look and a taste, and a bit off there to have a taste. It's very green. Not that dissimilar from the spinach sourdough we made. You make a spinach sourdough? No, I made some spinach dumplings, didn't I? I did, I can't remember. I've made a lot of bread. But yeah, if you said to someone that's spinach, they wouldn't kind of know the difference. And I suppose if you use spinach and you told them it was parsley, they wouldn't know the difference. And parsley's not a huge flavour. But it's alright, it's alright. It's alright. I think you could probably get away with more dried parsley in than the fresh parsley. I just want the centre really. I don't want too much crust. Yeah, it's alright. It's alright. I mean, you can use dried herbs, but if you can use fresh, if you can. Yeah. So parsley's nice. Chive would be nice, just all chive, or like mixed herbs. So if you had a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of the other, I'd be worried that the really soft herbs like basil would kind of want to go like really kind of quite discolour. I don't think I'm going to do that as an experiment. I don't think so anyway. But anyway, so I think it's quite successful, is that? I'm quite proud of those. It's very green, isn't it? So let's see which way we're going to do that. I need to take a picture. So yeah, they're okay. I'm quite happy with those. I'm gonna actually use it for something. I'm not gonna waste it on anything. Anyway, there we go. A success.